The second half of the season begins tonight as the series pushes for the playoffs from the Irish Hills, where tonight we welcome you to coverage of the 4-wide racing ARCA series and the 10th round of the season from the virtual Michigan International Speedway right here with our coverage on the KBueno Racing Network. Happy to have you join us from Michigan in Brooklyn, where alongside Francisco Bacchial up back in the broadcast booth for 4-wide racing coverage, my name is Kenneth Bueno. Of course, tonight is going to be a big one, Francisco, because Michigan, it's a big track, it's a fast track. These cars have provided a lot of challenges for the drivers on the racing surface, not only in practice tonight, but across the entirety of the 4-wide racing ARCA series. And we're already in the halfway mark of our season, so that means we're only getting closer to the playoffs, and most of the point shifts will start tonight.
Happy to be back in proper clothes and up in the booth, Kenneth. We're at the Michigan International Speedway, the legacy version of the Michigan International Speedway, an old surface here, which is going to provide a lot of challenges for these drivers here tonight. And from what I was hearing in the practice session, a lot of guys are sliding, trying to figure out which lane they're going to run. And it's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds throughout the race, which one will save tires best, which one will be quickest. But you mentioned it there, we're halfway through the season, through the regular season already. We're quickly approaching the playoffs. It'll be here in about a month and a half, almost 2 months from now. So it is going to get here sooner than we can see. And it's time for people to start making any changes to their approaches to these races if they're looking to have a second half push to try and maybe make the playoffs or just change something about their season if it's not gone the way they've imagined. I know that probably one of the biggest surprises at this point in the season is we have not seen the likes of Kyle Benson, Austin Reedy, and Craig Longsonger capture victory at any point this season, both on the ARCA side and the Cup side. I think that has probably been one of the bigger surprises.
It definitely has, but if there's going to be a turning point in the season, it's going to be right now here for Michigan to try and get all the way to the playoffs when they begin. Let's take a better look at where we are in the virtual world as we take a look overhead at our KBueno track map with images, of course, provided to us by our friends over at Google Earth. It's been Brooklyn, Michigan, where you'll find the very large and fast 2-mile circuit, the Michigan International Speedway, opened back in 1968, and the track currently owned by Roger Penske. Is a very fast track, lots of banking in each every corner. There's 18 degrees of banking in each turn, 12 degrees of banking over to the start-finish line, and only 5 degrees of banking on the back straightaway. But this is a very quick track. Most of these drivers, Francisco, used to going about 200 miles per hour or more. Doesn't matter whether you're in a NASCAR Cup Series car or an Indy car, you're going fast around this place. And much like at Six Track Auto Club, which you visited earlier this season, tire saving is going to be key.
The difference between this and Auto Club, of course, Kenneth, is the increased banking. At Auto Club, we have about 12 to 14 degrees. Here we have 18 degrees, so there's a lot more banking. You could carry a lot more speed through these corners. But this track is just as worn as Auto Club, if not a little bit more, because this Michigan surface, I believe, was resurfaced sometime in the early 90s before it was eventually given a brand new clean surface in 2012. So this is definitely around at the very least the same type of wear at Auto Club, and given the extra banking and the more speed, that should definitely tear off some more rubber off of these race cars. And you might see some guys maybe go towards that yellow line if they're not exactly racing anybody, just keep it safe on the bottom of the track. But for that middle bottom second lane to sort of be the line most people run, I don't think you'll see too many people go all the way to the fourth line. Who knows if anybody will try to venture up there. I heard that it's not good for your tires to go up to the fourth lane, contrary to the current Michigan, where you can go up to that fourth lane and really make some good time and not tear up your tires too much. So it's going to be interesting to see who fights the line between tires and trying to maximize your positions. Because if you're further back, you maybe want to get those positions and then worry about saving tires. But if you're up front, you want to conserve your tires and keep it under you for the long run. It might cost you some positions, but you can get them back in the long run for sure if you go about it correctly.
It's a rougher surface, it's an older surface, which means for these cars and these drivers, it's going to be all the more fun to watch here tonight from Michigan. Well, qualifying has already drawn to a close, and the drivers are already getting themselves set on the starting grid, so it'll be our time to take a look at your starting grid, see exactly where every driver and your favorite driver will be starting here tonight from the virtual Brooklyn, Michigan. On pole will be the 22 of Eric Schaefer, a 40.078 to line him up on pole, leading us to the green flag tonight. And newcomer to the series, Benjamin A. White in the 39, will roll off right alongside him in row 1.
Second row of the grid consists of teammates. AJ Green in the 48 will start from the P3 position. Alongside him, Colin Forrester, who's captured 3 wins over in the Cup Series, has yet to capture his first win in this ARCA Series. Maybe today's the day he starts from P4.
Back to row 3, you'll find the 13 of Craig Launslager. He's been close but no cigar to a win this series. And Tyler Murray, right on his outside of the 8 Machine League owner, will start tonight from P6.
Looking over at your 4th row, we have Curtis Kelly, who captured that win back in Myrtle Beach, looking to try and see if he can get a second win on the season. And Joe Sanchez, your winner from Iowa, and Darlington, looking to try and make it 3.
Back to row number 5, the edge of your top 10. Austin Reedy in the 11 will roll off from P9, and Ryan Steenbachers, who was able to get a win last season in the Cup Series, is trying to look for his first ARCA Series win. He'll start from the edge of the top 10.
Jesse Prees in that 00 starting from P11, just missing out on that top 10. And Jacob Denson, who's proven himself pretty good in his first couple of starts this season, looking to try and continue some of that momentum here from the P12 position.
Back to row number 7, you'll find the 93 of Cody Kinsey trying to get off to a good start. And the 75 of Nicholas Vizzuti will have to work his way from 14th at the edge of row 7.
Your 8th row consists of Lance Hill, a little bit further back than what he maybe would have wanted with his teammates in the 15th position, but he has some work to do. And Kevin Delia, I believe, is a new driver this series. He starts in the 16th.
Back to row number 9 and back to P18, you'll find the 42 of Christopher Bishop and a driver we're not used to seeing qualify further back in the field, Kyle Benson, with some work to do from 18th in row 9.
Looking down at your 10th row of the grid, we have Douglas Carlson, I believe also another driver that is new to the series. He starts 19th alongside Charlie Harcum, who is one of the higher qualifiers back in Pocono and in Myrtle Beach, looking to try and see if he can find his way to the front of the field before the end of this one.
Back to row number 11, you'll see the 08 of Pete Bruni roll off from 21st. And Daytona winner Ken MacArthur will be behind him in P22. Let's take a look at the rest of the field as they stand. 23rd and 24th will belong to Michael Woolley on the inside of row 12. Ricky Rosner will be on his outside when we roll off for Green Flag Racing. And then behind them, you'll see the 88 of Brandon T. Banks, who was a winner here in Michigan last season in the Cup Series. He'll roll off from 25th. 26th will belong to Tristan Bailey, Tony Kivett, Michael Newbraw. We back to P28. Then it's CJ Munier, Chuck Munier, and Brandon Gillis. 31 cars total. A very large field here from Brooklyn, Michigan, ready to get things started here for the 10th round of the 4Wide Racing ARCA Series season. Let's take a look at the weather overhead from Michigan International Speedway. Your weather outlook, it's an air temp of 76 degrees. Shortly a early fall day here in Sim with winds to the southwest at 7 miles per hour. There's no humidity, no fog. It's a mostly cloudy day, so maybe some clouds could affect the grip levels here at this track, but should expect high track temps, should expect slickness, should expect a lot of interesting characteristics to move here in Michigan, where these guys are ready to roll off. Pace car makes its way down to the safety of pit road. It'll be Eric Schaefer, Benjamin White, your first two to the green flag from Michigan. 10th round of the 4-Wide Racing ARCA Series is underway.
A uniform start there. Nobody really gaining a big advantage. You see cars changing lines a little bit further back in the field as they go into turn one. Just look at them trying to spread out, find some gap. A little bit loose there goes Benjamin A. White on that outside line. He falls back to second. He's battling, looks like AJ Green there, trying to contest for that third spot, but it's all clear up front for the 22 of Schaefer.
Schaefer is able to clear easily as they're side-by-side for P2. That's White on the outside. That's AJ Green on the inside. They continue to be side-by-side even behind them between the 13 and the 99, but already drivers sliding up the track. It gets tough to keep a car in a straight line. There's a big block by the race leader. AJ Green is going to slide up top. He's going to take over the lead as they come back to one.
Schaefer had a moment off turn 4, and that allowed AJ Green to get clear before they get to turn 1. So a mistake there for Schaefer cost them the lead early, so move the 48 car to the lead at Michigan.
Well, that's going to be a very key point in this race if you're a driver, Francisco. The draft, that's such a big characteristic here at Michigan. Because it's so large and because it's so fast, you're going to rely a lot of your moves on draft, and more specifically, drafting help. I know you can't really push in these ARCA Menard Series cars without pretty much hooking the driver in front of you, but if you can get somebody to go with you to give... Oh, there's a wreck behind them. One driver spinning to the inside grass. I believe it might have been a green car all the way to the inside. It was Harcum all the way in his machine, but he's going to be able to keep it straight. There's no caution on the racetrack. Everybody's going to be okay. But that could have been a very big issue for the first opening laps to get an issue, and already caution flag waves as a car up to the outside wall, and it's your pole sitter, Eric Schaefer in the 22.
A lot of chaos in these first couple laps, Kenneth. Looks like we had an incident back in turn 4. We'll see if we can actually get a good look at what happened back there, because I've still yet to know what happened, but it looks like the 22 was having some sort of connection issues, and probably made contact, I believe, with Benjamin A. White there, resulting in a crash of the 22. But with the 22 having connection issues, I can't be sure that we can see.
Let's try and see if we can get the camera here with the 10 of Kyle Benson. This was the issue that happened just a lap prior to this caution with the 22 of Schaefer. We'll try to get a look actually here. I believe is the contact there between him and the 22. It's sideswiped just a little bit by Benjamin White as he was having some connection issues, kind of blinked in and out a little bit, and then lost the race car, slammed it to the outside wall. That's exactly what caused the yellow. He was already well sideways, and we'll try to see if we can get somewhat of a look at the 10 of Kyle Benson as this was happening. This is Michael Newbraw's perspective. From further back, we'll see if we can get any sort of look at where Benson had some issues. But it seems as though on the track, he may have just gotten loose underneath many cars on that yellow line, Francisco, and with these cars, they don't have too much downforce, so if you lose it, it's kind of hard to pick it back up.
I'm actually getting a good look now at what happened with Benson. It looks like Vizuzzi tried to tuck in behind him going into turn 3, and as you mentioned, that hitting nose to tail with these ARCA cars is not good whatsoever, and that's exactly what happened. Contact with the front bumper of Vizuzzi to the rear of Kyle Benson sent him around.
Well, that was a caution. Fortunately for Benson, he doesn't have any significant damage to, let's say, get him out of this race, although it seems as though he might have already hit the DNF button here. Actually, no, he's going to hit pit road this time, so he's not going to have a lot of damage. Other drivers going to hit pit road, Benjamin A. White included. The driver who was in P2 at the time of yellow, there's Christopher Bishop, there's Brandon Banks, there's Curtis Kelly. A couple other drivers to hit pit road this time by. That's Michael Woolley. In the 69, the 9 machine of Brandon Gillis. They're all going to hit pit road, so they're all going to get some scheduled service early in tonight's action. But it seems as though we've already had a bit of chaos to start from Blicken, Michigan. That is going to move a couple drivers up, and that will move Craig Launslager to the point behind AJ Green, your race leader. So he was kind of mired back fighting with the 99 of Colin Forster, but the driver who has held the points lead for a while in the ARCA series before getting beat by Tony Kibbett within the past couple weeks. He's been able to move up rather quickly in the opening laps, and this could be a nice trendsetter if we can keep it going to take back the points lead.
Yeah, Lautenschlager's been very consistent this season, Kenneth, but unfortunately for him, has not been able to capture that win. And I know that he really wants to get that win. Uh, so far in the second position after some early stops by some of these guys, and I'd look for some of those guys that came down to pit road to maybe try to make some moves early. They're going to have a tire advantage. They're going to want to use them. And it was a pretty good amount that came down pit road. So it looked like a split almost. So everybody, I believe from 20th on back, likely came down pit road. So they will try to do something with those tires. And we'll also keep in mind, see what they are able to do with those tires. And we'll see how that affects strategy as this race goes on. But in the meantime, Benjamin A. White was given an EOL penalty, as that was part of the movement after the ARCA Homestead race last week, Kenneth, that they instituted some new rules in place involving incidents with contact involving other drivers resulting in crashes, and they decided to do something about it. And Benjamin A. White, a part of the new rules in place, will receive an EOL early on in this one for that incident with the 22.
So Benjamin A. White, who started on the front row, is going to be near the rear of the field where, pretty much coincidentally enough, Eric Schaefer is there as a result of the incident you saw just a couple of moments ago when we looked over, pan to the 22 machine. He's got a clean Chevrolet Lumina in this case, so he already burned the fast pair that's given to all the drivers tonight. We'll see how he manages that, burning it so early on in tonight's coverage, and hopefully he can be able to keep it clean all the way to the very end. So we'll restack them and try it again. A restart for the first time tonight on lap number 7 of 100. It'll be the 48 of AJ Green, who took the lead in emphatic ways off to turn 1. Will be your race leader, will be the control car. It will be the 13 of Craig Lautenschlager to his outside, Colin Forster, Curtis Kelly to round up your second row. Then it's Austin Reedy, Tyler Murray back to row number 3 and P6. Pace car is going to roll off for the first time since the initial start. It's going to be AJ Green, though, the first time controlling this field. And all of a sudden, we're back under Green from Michigan, top 2, clearing away to turn 1.
A good enough start for Lautenschlager to keep that second position. That's going to be crucial all day, Kenneth. We'll see if that guy on the outside or the guy front row with your leader gets a good enough start to stay clear for the second position, and how far does he lose ground in the lead. You see right there, Green, really good jump, was able to get really far out there. Lautenschlager now is going to have some help down the back straightaway, as you see 3 wide further back with Joe Sanchez.
Joe Sanchez underneath Tyler Murray. That's Lance Hill working all the way to the top side as you watch Colin Forster try to work underneath the 71. Watch the whole split down there on the racetrack as Murray kind of slips back, and they're almost 3 wide again. Make it almost 4 wide. Tyler Murray going to take it down low. He's going to tuck in. Not enough momentum to do it as they're still side by side. Hill and Kinsey to battle for position.
A big battle there on the front straightaway, and we're going to see these guys try to get to the outside on the front straightaway or the back straightaway, because that's where most of the draft's going to be. You see they're very close between Hill and Murray there, but almost into the wall, but they're able to back out of that. Now actually it was not Murray, 93 of Kinsey, but look at Joe Sanchez. He's back on the inside, and they're going once again 3 wide into 3.
Sanchez going to absolutely send it into the third corner. We'll see if he can try to slide up in front of the 93. He will be able to do so, but Kinsey right there for a possible retaliation move underneath to the front straightaway. There's a car in the middle. That's Kevin D'Elia. First start this season. He's in the middle of Murray and Lance Hill, so already lots of work done in the midfield just behind the top 5. But as you work for your top 5, doesn't seem to be too much going on. It's Green clear by at least a second. It's Lautenschlager, Reedy, and a side-by-side battle between the 99 of Forster and the winner from Myrtle Beach a couple of weeks ago, Curtis Kelly.
I'd be concerned with getting this big of a lead that quickly. It could be that you go through your tires very quickly. I'd have to watch out for that if I'm the 48. Maybe he's testing it, trying to see how much does the tire wear in an opening run like this when you're trying to push, and then see later in the race just how much more he has to back it off, try and maybe cool it down a bit so he can gauge himself based off second place, and at the same time feel out just how much tire he's having to use while having to keep the lead. Because ideally, you want to save tires and not lose the lead, but sometimes there is different agendas. Some people want to push, others don't. You see right there, that right rear was hanging out a bit in turn 2, so that tells me he's pushing right now and has well over a 1-second lead on Craig Lautenschlager. So we'll have to see if this turns out to hurt him, if this run stays green for enough laps.
And I think a strategy that you employed just last week at the Homestead Miami Speedway, you wanted to push a little bit earlier and then kind of gain the gap and then just maybe let it plateau for a little bit. Because you're over a couple seconds over the rest of the field, maybe AJ Green could be deciding to doing that very early on in this race as they continue to battle for position behind. Here's a nice look at the battle up ahead the road from Tyler Murray's perspective. A nice onboard shot from the 8 JM machine, probably signifying from the Busch Series days of Dale Earnhardt Jr., Martin Truex Jr. as well, as he watches Jesse Prees look under Lance Hill. It's a nice squirming for position, but at this point, Francisco, you talk about tire wear as the leader. How's tire wear work for drivers in this situation? You're stuck in the dirty air from drivers in front of you, and you want to gain positions, but you're constantly forced to adapt because you're going side by side like Prees and Hill are right now, and obviously you want to get the position away, but you have to work hard for it.
Being side by side is definitely going to hurt your tires, but usually if you hold the outside or the preferable line in some instances, like how we see Lance Hill here, well, he's a little bit higher than normal, but right there, Cody Kinsey is on the ideal line. So even though he's racing some people right now, he's not in a bad line. So as long as he's not tucked up 2 inches behind the rear bumper, someone you see aggressive move down to the bottom he made there before coming back up the track. As long as you're not crazy stuck behind someone like that as he is right now, if you have about 3 car lengths to the car in front of you in the corner on the same line, you should be fine. See right there, he's going to lose some ground because he has to check up for the 55. That's going to force him to be side by side back further. So as long as you're not stuck right behind someone, I think within 2 or 3 car lengths, it shouldn't wear your tires out too much. It won't be ideal, but it should do the job just terribly. And when you're back here like this, it's when you're battling side by side and running this high on the racetrack where it'll really chew through your stuff. And of course, that's not even mentioning the inputs, because your inputs definitely have a lot to say with the wear of your tires. If you use too much throttle but you're not really getting loose, but that is going to hurt your right rear, and you're going to feel it in a couple of laps time. As you see a move for second place, Reedy trying to see if he can pounce for position, and now he's able to take that away from Lautenslager. He's going to see if he can put on the charge to AJ Green.
We saw a nice move displayed there, a little bit of a slide job maneuver in 3 and 4 for the 11 of Austin Reedy. We saw Reedy do this not too long ago in this series, where in the long run he's kind of been able to push a lot more than others. He's got a lot of speed underneath that hood, and we saw it at Myrtle Beach, Francisco, where the 11 was able to take the lead. He commanded the race for a good bit. It was unfortunate that he got caught up in an incident, was pretty much taken out of the race contention as Kevin DeLuise strikes the outside wall right behind him. But the 11 of Reedy, it's not shocking to see this speed. It's just he hasn't been able to put a full race together to give himself a race win, especially in the ARCA series, where already within the first couple races, we know he's got the pace, he's got the consistency, and he's got what it takes to go up for a win and take a checkered flag away from these guys.
He definitely has what it takes, and right there, visually, you can see he gained a 10th just that lap. So he is starting to close the gap in on your leader. And going back to what you talked about a couple of laps ago, Kenneth, with the strategy of Homestead, that if you're going to employ that strategy, you want to do a strategy like that when you know you have a set finish. With this early in the race, you don't want to do that because you don't know when the caution is going to come out or when you're going to have to come down pit road. It's still a little bit undetermined, so you don't want to exactly leave it up to faith or tire wear, if you will, in that sort of instance. You want to pace yourself, make sure that you can get to that point without having any concerns of being pressured or not. If it were a 15 or 20 lap shootout to the end of the race, then maybe you can push a little bit more early on, knowing that that's how many laps are left for sure, and they're going to have to run you down. At this point, he has all race to catch him right up, and it won't even take him all race at this point to catch him up because he's already another 10th closer to the race leader.
He's rather close and trying to catch. He was a couple of tenths faster the last time by to your race leader, AJ Green, so we'll try and monitor that as Reedy aims to chip it down. Watch the battle here for about the edge of the top 15. This is Kyle Benson. We saw him around in the opening laps. Did not have any damage, but watch him work 3 wide of the outside. That's the 86 machine of Douglas Carlson in the middle and Benjamin A. White all the way to the inside, who, remember, was in P2 right before the first caution came out. Got the end-of-line penalty for cause of incident, and now he's trying to chip away at the rest of the field, but it's rather hard to do so when everybody's around you.
It is rather hard to do so, and you have to be very patient because these guys, even though they're on older tires, it is very difficult because you have only so many lines to choose from. It's not exactly like Homestead a week ago where you can go from the white line to the very top of the racetrack right next to the wall. You can't really go all the way to the white line here at the bottom there. You kind of can't go much lower than that. And you can't really go all the way up to the wall, even with this old surface. You can't go much higher than you see Ricky Rosner. So it is a little bit more narrow in terms of the actual racing line. So that makes it a lot more difficult. But also the advantage in tires is about 5 laps, which is useful early on in the run. But as this run goes on, the lengths at which that advantage extends to starts to decrease. So you'll still have one, but it won't be quite the same on lap 20 of the run as if it were on the first lap of the run.
And a nice look at the 88 of Brendan T. Banks. He's working the outside of Cody Kinsey, who has dramatically fallen off, but he's slowing down at the crash, and it's Kyle Benson involved again. Remember, spun out within the first 2 laps of this race, did not have any damage. There may be some damage on that Coors Light Dodge Charger this time. A bit of damage there to the rear for Benson, and he's going to trigger the second caution of tonight's race here from Michigan. We had a good run up until that point. Remember, Benson was trying to catch his way up through the field after being set back, but now he's going to have another setback here as he's going to move to the tail end of the field. We'll try and see exactly what happened here on this incident.
Yeah, he's involved with Benjamin A. White, so that's the second incident for both of these drivers. It looked like White got a run off the corner, tried to get to the outside of the 10, scraped the wall, tried to turn away from the wall, got into the right rear quarter panel of the 10, sending them both around.
And you'll see it right there. A better look at it from the overhead shot in our chopper cam. They were almost 3 wide. You see Benjamin right there in that white and blue iRacing machine. Tried to get to the outside, struck the outside wall, and then tried to get it off of the wall by reverting to the left. Nice job of him keeping out of the inside safer barrier, but you see him strike the outside wall, get into the 10 as a result, and the 10 catches a little bit of air on the rear end, and he pretty much goes around. Don't think there's too much damage for Benson. More worse for wear for White in this case. But we'll see what the penalties are issued to White and what the race officials do. It was an end-of-line penalty for cause of incident the first time. What'll it be this time as the field comes down pit road? It'll be AJ Green, Austin Reedy, Craig Lownslager, your top 3. But pretty much everybody, in this case Francisco, wants to hit pit road. It was a split last time. It's a full serve this time.
Yeah, for those leaders that stayed out, it's 20 lap on their tires. They don't want to restart on those. And that kind of hurt their strategy. That goes back to the patience we were talking about that you got to have when you're on this newer tire versus old tire strategy. You want to be patient so that you can bite your time and sort of use that advantage in your advantage. And bringing out this caution, being involved in that incident, not only takes away the track position, but it also now puts everybody back on the same strategy. See AJ Green exit with the lead on pit road. Austin Reedy able to keep second. Longslonger with a really quick stop, but keeps position. As you see, most of the field doesn't really change positions all too much. No word yet on any penalties towards the 39.
You see AJ Green, when the race off pit road, wasn't really a big shift in position out of that race, as Green obviously continues in the race lead. Austin Reedy and Craig Lownslager continue to hold spots within the top 3. Then it's Colin Forster, Curtis Kelly to your top 5. And again, like you mentioned, Francisco, we're still awaiting the decision on what the officials are going to do with the Benjamin White situation. You got a word on that?
Yeah, we got a word on that. It is going to be another end-of-line penalty for the 39. Doesn't appear like it'll be anything different. Normally, we see a second cause of incident usually be a hold under the green flag, but right now the officials are determining it's going to be another end-of-line penalty. If anything else comes about this under the green flag, we'll note, but that's what we're hearing as of now.
So you'll see the 39 visually drop back to the field, let everybody by. He's going to start at the tail end of the longest line on the racetrack. Just to note, not many people under 1 lap down. Only 2 drivers are in that scenario. It's Pete Bruni and Brandon Gillis. They have left this race, so pretty much they're done for in terms of this race from Michigan International Speedway. Eric Schaefer is currently the last driver on track, the pole sitter in tonight's race. He's back in 27th, although he is on the lead lap as just to the grass a little bit. I'm not sure whether he just lost control, maybe got distracted, not entirely sure. Gonna lose a lot of speed and gonna try and get back up to speed as he comes to pit road. Not sure exactly what that was the cause there.
Yeah, a bit of a moment there. It's been a wild one already, Kenneth, and a good amount of stuff going on under caution. It's almost like Homestead came to us.
It kind of is. Remember, we had a wild race at Homestead last Tuesday night. We had double-digit yellows. We burned up all green, white, checkered attempts. Finished the race under yellow. It was Jake Royal that took his very first win of that season. Unfortunately, we haven't seen Royal return to the series. We'd like to see him return and put on a show, much like he did at Homestead with a lot of our series regulars. But nonetheless, to take away from what that was at Homestead, Miami, it was a wild one. Lots of cautions in that race, lots of carnage, and hopefully we should not see it at Michigan. Hopefully we can have some clean racing. Saw a glimpse of a very decent green flag run We may be on the verge of another as the pace car comes back down to the safety of pit road. Again, it's AJ Green controlling, but it's a difference in the outside lane. Austin Reedy, though, but it's not going to matter when they come to the start-finish line. AJ Green with a decent jump as they head back for turn 1.
And missing from this restart's Eric Schaefer. He went back down pit road after that spin, and he's only now in turn 3, so already Schaefer half a lap behind.
Yeah, Schaefer going to have a lot of work to do. We'll see how he fares between himself and where the field stacks up, whether they're able to get by him. You see 3 wide. Just behind him, almost 4 wide as Jesse Priest shuts through the middle. Michael Woolley is able to get the momentum up top. Austin Reedy was able to clear for second. It was a slight side-by-side battle between him and Lounslogger, but the battle resists right here. 99 of Forster, Sanchez underneath in the 55.
Sanchez trying to find his way back up towards the front once again. He's been no stranger to the front this season, trying to see if he can capture that first ARCA win. You see right behind him, Curtis Kelly, winner back in Myrtle Beach, trying to see if he can carry some of that momentum into the bigger tracks.
Forster working up high. Sanchez continues to work down low. There's Curtis Kelly, the odds man out, trying to see exactly what's going to go on, whether he can try and build up a run here on any of the corners, especially turn 4. That's going to be key. And that front straightaway, I think it's a very interesting part, and we talked about it a little bit when we started this season, Francisco, over at Auto Club, is just how much momentum you can build, especially off turn 4, and build it here to the front straightaway. Yes, you can still make a lot of those high momentum moves to the backstretch and make them into turn 3, but when you have a large banked curve like this, and this tri-oval, as we would call it here in Michigan, there's a lot of ample room to make space. You've got the banking to help with rotation through what is sort of a corner here at this track, but you have everybody trying to get off the final corner, and the start-finish line is the most important place out of really anybody anywhere in this track. So it's a very interesting part of the track that these guys are taking advantage of, and if you can build a run out of turn 4, chances are you're going to have the position to turn 1.
Yeah, turn 4 is a crucial corner, not just because it's the one that leads to the start-finish line, which could end the race, but also with the front stretch being curved. If you notice, relative to pit road, it is much longer to go through the regular part of the racetrack. That's what the curve's there for. So the front stretch is a little bit longer than the back straightaway, meaning you can carry more speed going into turn 1, but it gives you just that little bit more of an opportunity to maybe make a move going into turn 1 if you have just that extra bit of forward momentum on somebody. See right there, Joe Sanchez able to get to the inside for this position off of turn 2. He's going to see if he can get clear going into turn 3. He's going to dive it down to the inside. Forster maybe going to give this one up. Sanchez slides up, and he's going to take that position, and then invites Michael Woolley now to the bottom.
Michael Woolley in the 69, a brand new scheme that debuted last week in this series, a Hot Wheels color paint scheme, maybe in commemoration of the new Hot Wheels Unleashed video game that was released, I think, a couple of days ago, but he's been hot ever since the start of this race, and now he works to the inside of the 55. Not going to be able to clear, but possible help could change this battle up as he works for 4th. Meanwhile, it's still single file between your top 3. Austin Reedy has kept it to AJ Green within 0.5 of a second, about half a second to your race leader, and sort of catching, setting similar lap times.
You know, if I were these guys up front, I would not count out Michael Woolley. I would know from experience that he has some long run speed, and he's been working his way up through the field much like he did last Wednesday night. And if he's able to keep this up at a track that wears tires, that eats tires like it does here, it's going to be a matter of time before he does show up to the front of the field. That means business.
Yeah, I think if there was anything we took out of Homestead from Wednesday last week at a track like Homestead, which is known not as the most abrasive racing surface, but it is one definitely that does eat up the Goodyear tires underneath on these race cars. And over the long run, I think apart from you, Francisco, being the fastest on the track, Michael Woolley was something to know out of the series regulars. He was able to carve through the field, had a lot of long run speed all the way on the inside, was able to conserve his tires, set fast laps, and set them consistently, set them over and over again each and every time. So at a tire-saving track like Michigan, especially with these cars, Woolley is starting to put a clinic. He's not necessarily in the race lead, but from his starting position tonight all the way back in 23rd, I'd say P4 right now is spectacular.
Yeah, he's basically doing the same thing he did last week. He started further back in the field. You see, started 23rd as he moves down to the bottom to give the outside, I believe, to that car on his outside right now, trying to take that position, Joe Sanchez. But Woolley is doing the same thing. He started deep in the field, methodically working his way up through the pack, and now finds himself in a top 5 spot with clean racetrack ahead. So as long as he can defend the immediate comebacks of Joe Sanchez and try to put a gap between himself and the 55, then he could try and set sail and catch that 13 of Craig Lautenschlager. And, you know, I was always keeping an eye on this 69 last week, trying to see just how close he would get. We were matching on lap times for the most part on the very long run. So if that is the case where he can start matching some of these guys' lap times on the long run or even going quicker than them, I would not be surprised if he's going to be challenging at the end of these long runs if we stay green, as today, at least early on, has proved that we do have some capable shots of going green flag racing.
And you see a shot of the field come out of turns 3 and 4, some of them side by side. You see Kyle Benson already on the work back from the incident earlier in this race that caused their most recent yellow flag. Same deal for Benjamin White, and we talked about it to open this race. I mean, you and I know Benjamin very well, a team owner of Dog Racing Enterprises, which is the team you were on. I know I worked with that team a while back, but Benjamin A. White, I think a very interesting case in this scenario. I remember he talked to me just a couple of days ago and said, hey, is 4 Wide still running an ARCA League? If so, I'm interested in joining. How do I sign up? Who do I talk to? Who do I get involved with in order to make a start in this series, make a name for myself in this series? And Benjamin A. White, a avid driver, I guess you could say, in the ARCA official series for iRacing over the past couple of months. He's been really active on the service. On the ARCA side, he's taken a love for this car, and he's been able to perform well. He's captured a bunch of wins at many different tracks, and I think tonight, to show up in a series that has a lot of competition in a car that he really likes, Benjamin A. White certainly putting it to these guys, and I think a very nice entrance into the series as well.
Yeah, I think the best way to put it is that he went from 1.4 thousand I rating to right there, you can see it right there, 5.6 thousand. So a massive gain in just the last couple of months that this driver's been able to pull on in just racing the ARCA series. He's done a phenomenal job with these cars, racing in many different racetracks against many different and talented drivers, really racking up that I rating and trying to see if he can improve his stature on the iRacing service. You mentioned you worked with the team that we're on. Kenneth, he is my team owner. I was able to get a win for us a week ago. He's trying to see if he can make it another win for the team this next race here today. So far, it's not exactly been easy for him. He's definitely finding it a little bit challenging with these guys under the green flag, trying to see if he can keep it off the wall, keep a clean race car. Right now in the 15th position, so he is making a solid recovery, but he is going to need a little bit more of a break as this race goes on if he wants to try and get fully all the way up there. As we see Michael Woolley now, at least not currently defending the 55 of Joe Sanchez, so we'll see if he can start to run down that top 3.
He's been able to clear the 55, and there was a couple laps on end where Sanchez was just looking up top. He wasn't quite there to the outside of the 69, but you could tell Woolley had kept consideration, saying, okay, well, if you're going to get a move, if you're going to build something up, I'm going to give you the space, I'm going to give you the ample room to make this move on me, and if not, okay, I'll shut the door, I'll keep myself clear, I'll be all right. And he's finally able to shut the door on Sanchez as Jesse Prees right behind the 55, and that black and orange 00 tries to make a move on Sanchez for what will be P5 on the racetrack as Woolley continues to hold draft with them. But at this point, I figure, Francisco, it's a little harder to take control of position, especially when the drivers are further out in front of you. It's a little bit tougher to make this move as there is a battle for the lead. These guys have gone close with each other. Mentioned Austin Reedy on the long run, able to find that speed. He's found it underneath AJ Green. And as for the race lead, lap 34, Reedy trying to take it away.
He was steadily catching him that whole run and now decides to make that move. He has the inside going into turn 3. How low does he go? Not too much. He is going to slide up a little bit. He's going to have to let off of the throttle. That allows the 48 to gain some more momentum on that outside. I'm not sure if he's quite clear, and he is. He's going to try and come down and shut the door on this 11. So he will maintain the lead now after that little mistake by the 11 going into turn 3. So AJ Green avoids one there, but that does mean that the likes of Craig Lautenschlager and the 69 of Michael Woolley will close the gap in ever so slightly as these two begin to squabble over the lead.
And it could get tougher for Austin Reedy if he wants to make this move down low, because remember, AJ Green's holding that middle to top groove, maybe the 3rd or 4th lane, almost about there on the racetrack. So if Reedy tries to put in the gas on the older tires all the way on the inside, you saw exactly what the result was the first time. He's going to slide up the track, and obviously he doesn't want to get into AJ Green, so he's going to be forced to check up regardless. And that does lose him a bit of time. It is going to keep him in range of the 48, but it's not going to be enough at the moment for a change for the race lead to be plausible. And you said it right there, Francisco, that does allow the 13 of Lauenslager to gain. Not hugely, but it is going to be a small but sure gain. And if these guys continue to fight like they have been, it is going to give the opportunity for Lauenslager to push in, and probably, if we stay green, give ourselves a green flag run to pit stops. We could see Lauenslager in the mix as Austin Reedy again tries to fight underneath.
Yeah, you saw that run developing as he went through turn one. Just was about half a car lane to about a whole entire car width off to the bottom side of the racetrack. Got that clean air. Tried to make that move, tries to clear off the corner. He stays on that left front tire of the 48. You see the 48 trying to side draft him as they go down the front straightaway. All the way to the apron goes Austin Reedy. They'll be side by side going into one. We'll see if the 48 tries to pinch him down. 48 way up the track. You do not want to go up there towards that white stuff, and that's going to put the 11 down towards the turn one and comes out of turn two as your race leader. And you see Craig Lauenslager was able to gain big time on AJ Green after going way high into turn one.
Yeah, Lauenslager was able to gain that time, so he's got the draft here. Probably clip it a little bit for the 48 of Green and possibly put himself in contention not only for Green's position but for Austin Reedy's position as your race leader. You see right there, 48 moves a little bit higher. 13's able to arc it lower down on the track, and he's got draft. So keep an eye out for the 13 of Lauenslager, the second place driver in the point standings. Remember, we talked about it earlier. He's a driver aiming to take back the race lead, or the points lead rather, away from everybody else. Had it for the first handful of weeks, got it stolen. He's looking for it back.
Yeah, I believe he's battling the likes of Tony Kivitt for that points lead. And Tony Kivitt right now is down to the 23rd position. As you see, 3 wide off of turn 2, further back there. I believe that's the Ken MacArthur machine. You see there the mellow yellow on his race car. Actually, no, that's Lance Hill in that machine. But he has a teammate there, Colin Forster. They're all racing very aggressively towards the bottom side of the top 10. You see way up the track, the 99 is trying to see if he can complete this move. And it looks like they will work this out a little bit as they now go single file once again. And as we're trying to figure out any movers throughout this restart, Benjamin A. White, you see a little bit further back from this crew, still in that 15th position, battling the 46 of Charlie Harcum, and along with him is Kevin Delia, excuse me.
Well, you saw the 79 fighting with the 39 for position not too long ago when we did that spotlight on Benjamin A. White. So Steenbachers has been on the move, so now he's about +5, I'd say +4 or 5 right now. Since the last time we saw him on the racetrack fighting with that 39 iRacing machine. As you see the 99 of Forster, he tries to look underneath the Wawa machine. And the 93 tries to look underneath Steenbachers. This time he's going to have the momentum. He's also going to have the help. We'll see if he's able to complete this pass as they aim to fight with the drivers up ahead the road in Curtis Kelly and Jacob Denson, who currently round out P8 and P9 on the racetrack. So this is right now for the edge of the top 10. They're almost 3 wide. You see Hill trying to work forward on his teammate, the 99 of Forster. It's a lot of moves up at the front of this field, and even more so starts to develop here between P4. Sanchez again outside of Woolley.
I think Woolley maybe used a little bit of his stuff trying to get by this 55. You see Jesse Prees with a lot of momentum there in the center of the corner, catching right up to the 55's rear bumper. But Woolley able to get back clear of this 55, maintains himself in that 4th position, was never really able to close on the 13 of Craig Lauenslager as I thought he could have, but right now is holding station in that 4th spot. Not enough momentum for the 55 to really completely get by him, so it is going to stay like this at least for the next couple of laps.
And he's finally able to clear Jesse Prees, who almost made an attempt on the inside, and now is going to have to reset himself back to the 69 of Michael Woolley as Austin Reedy has opened up the gap at 0.6 to AJ Green. We talked about Craig Lauenslager. He's also in range still. We saw him grasp the drive just a couple of moments ago, and as of lap 41, he's got a definitive shot of getting underneath AJ Green. Remember, these guys up in the top 3, they don't have wins this season. We haven't seen AJ Green get to victory lane in the ARCA series. We haven't seen Austin Reedy get into victory lane. We haven't seen your points leader a couple of weeks back before being taken away by Tony Kivitt. We haven't seen Lauenslager as a race winner this season, despite Lauenslager's success so far and his good finishes throughout. So we could be on our way to seeing a possible first-time winner if these guys could keep themselves in position, as we slowly but surely may look forward to green flag pit stops, which we haven't seen all night long. We had it broken up by yellow not too long ago. We could have it uninterrupted this time.
Yeah, and there's some aggressive but also good racing back for this 11th and 12th position. Colin Forrester and Lance Hill, they're racing the rest of this group right here that you see. There's about 6 cars battling for that 12th position. You see them right there. They're side by side. They're going all over the racetrack trying to find some room. You have Benjamin A. White racing. You see Cody Kinsey all the way up to the wall. Harcum in the 46 to the inside has to slide up, and they'll be 3 wide off of turn 2. Actually, one of them backs out of that one. That is Dahlia that backs out. You see Vizuzzi very aggressive to the inside as the teammates are now side by side for the 12th spot. Curtis Kelly ahead of this group. So you can see further back where there's a lot more traffic and a lot more dirty air, there's aggressive racing, trying to see everyone find some position. You see now the 39 now gets to the outside of Forster. Now he's going to try to get to the outside of the 34. Has to back out of that one. Doesn't want to get into the back of them.
That was very aggressive there. Almost a peek to the outside by the 39 of Benjamin White. He's going to hold it for the next lap. Going to have some help here from Kinsey. Is Kinsey now going to revert back to the inside? There's Tyler Murray down low. Believe he's hit a pit stop for the first time, so could see some potentiality of green flag stops to open at lap 44. But they continue to fight aggressively. You got to think it's hurting their tires. That's what allowed guys like White to come up to the field, because they were fighting with Steenbachers. They've lost ground to the 79 and P9. Now they're losing ground to the 39, who's picked these things up. And now as they continue to go side by side, we'll mention exactly how rough it'll be for them. As a note to Tyler Murray, he did hit pit road. You see him rejoining these guys just outside of the top 15. So indeed, we had our first stop, had our first biter onto pit road under green flag circumstances. So now this can only mean that drivers further down the order, or further up the order as I should say, are going to start to hit pit road as well. Just a matter of time before we see them.
Oh, it's hard into the wall. You see Vizuzzi come there. He's going to come off the wall. See guys avoiding action, trying to ensure that they don't get into him. But that was a close call for Vizuzzi there. You see Murray now with better tires trying to find a way around these guys as we're going to go 4 wide almost into turn 3. This is going to be crazy once green flag pit stops start, which, speaking of, Kenneth, these green flag pit stops are not too long away from happening. We went green on lap 20, I believe, is when that caution came out that those guys actually came down pit road with the restart on lap 22 or 23. So I do think that they could probably go another 5 or so laps with the fuel fill of 75% that they have. We're looking at most likely around 5. No more than 10 for sure until they have to come back down pit road. It is not enough fuel to make it to the end of the race. So unless this race gets broken up by a caution, it is definitely requiring of 2 more pit stops.
Well, these guys are certainly making moves right before green flag stops is about to open. You saw the 69 get under the 48. Green has lost a lot of ground since that last start. He's going to try to take a retaliation effort to go back to the inside, but we saw him lose the spot. 13 of Landslager moves to second. And now Michael Woolley aiming aggressively for the spot as the 48 washes up the track. Bit of tight condition out of the Lowe's 48 machine. And the 69 going to go right back up top. He's going to be able to clear most likely out of turn 2. We'll see if Sanchez has anything for him. Not going to do it just yet as they come for turn 3. Michael Woolley to your top 3 for the first time tonight.
And Woolley was very aggressive. He tried to force the 48 into that tight condition. You saw him get right to that right rear of that 48, try to force him to get off that gas. But remember, I was concerned a couple of laps ago at this 69 not having exactly the long run pace I was thinking of. But now he's starting to show it. At the dying stages of the run, he is starting to work his way up towards the front of the field and has that second place in his sights. And even with that pass, Kenneth, he gained about a couple of hundredths on your race leader, which for completing a pass, that is a good amount to gain, because normally you lose time when completing a pass, but Michael Woolley able to keep it 8/10 behind your race leader.
And in terms of time, last time by, it was pretty much identical between your top 3. Last time Austin Reedy ran a 42.559. Seems okay. Seems like second and third will be a little bit slower, but they were actually a little bit faster by a couple thousandths. Laumstarger set a 42.554. It was a 42.555 for Michael Woolley. So over the long run, we're seeing the 69 grab some pace. Same deal for the 13. And usually in contrast to what we've seen out of Reedy, his long run pace is starting to deteriorate as we get closer and closer to green flag stops. The 48 of AJ Green almost trying to make the move underneath of the front straightaway. It's going to be a possible move for second here for the 69 of Woolley. If he can get it done on the 13, he's not going to have enough momentum. He'll wait for the next corner.
Oh, we have a wreck off of turn 2. It looks like they're able to save it. Curtis Kelly sideways. It looked like he was involved with the 53 of Dalia, but they're able to keep it straight and no caution.
I saw one car all the way down to the inside of the apron. There's no damage to either cars here for the 71 or the 53. We'll take a look at the replay and see exactly as a couple cars going down pit road. Watch this as they're coming off turn 2. Well, it got very dicey here, Francisco. This is Colin Forrester. There's the 71 and the 53. What a save.
And Kinsey almost into the right rear of that 71, which could have been a separate wreck in of itself. I was watching this battle live, Kenneth, trying to see if what was going on elsewhere on the racetrack, and I saw that happening right in front of me, and it was very close quarters racing. I believe 1 lap ago, Benjamin A. White struck the outside wall and lost position to Kyle Benson. They still have yet to come down pit road, but look for them to be arriving here very soon as pit stops are well underway. And speaking of Benjamin A. White, he is working his way onto pit road now.
A couple other drivers.
Spin! He's spinning, coming into pit road. His front bumper's gone.
The 39 spinning, and huge damage to his car. He's going to hit the reverse here and try to make pit road anyway, as this rear end is completely torn off. I think his race is for sure over. He's going to tuck it straight to pit road. Probably going to go straight for the garage. And unfortunately, in his first start, Benjamin A. White not going to be able to finish this race. You saw second place Craig Launslager hit pit road. Not too long ago, you saw Joe Sanchez hit pit road. There's the 0-0 of Jesse Prees. He's already all the way to the exit at the half mark of tonight's race. And we'll see whether the leaders also start to hit pit road as well. That will leave AJ Green in a spot where he also is going to hit pit road. Austin Reedy's still yet to pit. Woolie's still yet to pit. Steenbacher's also yet to pit. So everybody's already on the cycle here. AJ Green, though, going to be the next one to take service. He's going to get 4 tires and fuel for the next run.
This is a change of pace, Kenneth. We have not seen, in the ARCA series at least, green flag pit stops in a handful of races, it feels. So this is definitely something that some of these drivers that run ARCA are not that used to, and we have to see if it catches them out. If they make a mistake coming onto pit road like we saw Benjamin White make, we have to see if they maybe speed on pit road trying to time their lights, miss their stalls going into pit lane with these really old tires. Anything could really happen because they don't have that much practice pitting under green with these cars.
We'll see if we can try to take another look at Benjamin White's issue on pit road as he was trying to get there in that 39 machine. We'll see if we can get him. You see right there, damaged on pit road. We'll take another look at his entrance. And how shaky it was is underneath Kyle Benson on the brakes. It's a rough surface. There's a transition right there going down the gears. Oh, and a slam into the inside barrier.
It looked like it got away from him under braking just as he went into the transition. A little bit early for going down there, but also you have to wonder maybe if that's set up as well with a little bit too much rear brake.
There could be, and also when you're going through the gears, you could easily wheel hop on the brakes, and it completely sets your car around. And the 39 lost control, slammed into the wall, tried to reverse it into maybe some sort of pit stall, but by that moment, you already knew that he was done already with this racing machine as the 11 of Riddy overshoots his pit stall going into the entrance. A couple other drivers sliding in. 75 of Azudi is going to do the same error. There's Curtis Kelly, Colin Forster, the 34 of Lance Hill. A lot of these drivers striking pit road. Remember, Riddy was your race leader at the time, and now he's going to get a splash of fuel, some Ford fresh tires, and he's out on his way.
Yeah, I noticed that. And now your race leader, Michael Woolley, is coming into pit road, being one of the last drivers to make that decision to come down the pits. It looks like Ryan Steenbacher's now moves his way into the lead. He is the last car officially to yet to come down pit road, trying to see if he can maximize this run. I'm not sure how many more laps he can go. Right now, I believe he is on his 35th lap of the run, give or take. So if you were to add on 35 laps till this point in the run, that would put you around lap 90. But you don't want to wait too long. You don't want to lose too much time to these guys on tires. But we do know, based on the strategy, at least at Homestead at a similar wearing track, that if you were to pit later than most of their group, it could really help you for the next run because you can just have a lasting advantage.
You see the 22, Eric Schaefer. He was one of the 3 last drivers to extend it all the way to more than 30 laps on a stint. This was 33. In Schaefer's case, he was riding within the top 5, decided to strike down pit road. It's going to be the same deal for what was your race leader in Steenbacher's. Michael Newbraw also going to come down. I believe this time by, you see him swerving to the apron. It does include him in this group of stops here. So this is going to cycle everything around, and this should give Brennan Banks the race lead. Interestingly enough, we haven't really seen Banks all night long, apart from maybe the top 5 battle around where Michael Woolley was. but an interesting stop 8 laps ago will bring him net P1 on the racetrack.
Differing strategies, Kenneth. We saw Tyler Murray ahead of Austin Reedy and a couple of other guys. He was one of the first to come down pit road, but now he's starting to follow through. This goes to show that the undercut is not the way to go. This is not something you want to do a pit stop left in this race. You're just going to lose too much time over this next run, and it'll put you at a massive disadvantage for the next one, because you're going to have to, by default, pit early than everybody else. And it'll definitely not be in your favor as this run continues. But what this does help with this strategy is that if a caution comes out right now or in the next 5 laps, you gain immediate track position. That's the only gain that really comes out of this strategy, because if this race goes green, that is not the strategy you want to be on.
Well, it's going to cut tight here for drivers right now, looking to make it all the way to the end of the race. As we continue to work under green flag conditions from Michigan, how about we turn things up and go crank it up here on the KBueno Racing Network. Well, you heard a lot of the sounds. You saw a lot of the sights here from Michigan International Speedway. Saw a couple battles out on the track, but it continues to be Brandon Banks with that earlier strategy. He manages to hold on for the lead. Hasn't been really caught by the 55 of Joe Sanchez. And as for now, the double 8, the 88 Geico machine, is on par with less than 40 laps to go. Let's take a look at our race summary presented by Supermix. Already more than halfway throughout tonight's event. Of course, you can still see your race leader inside the 88 of Brandon T. Banks. We've completed 61, now 62 laps out of the racetrack with 38 laps to go. We've had a total of 4 lead changes on track and only 2 cautions for 6 laps. Those 2 cautions flew within the first 20 laps of this race. Francisco, an evolving strategy here. We saw drivers obviously go down pit road for the first time tonight. Our first round of green flag pit stops were underway, but you did mention these drivers are not going to be able to make it all the way to the end on fuel, so it's going to be rather close. What's going to be the trajectory to pit next time by?
For those that pit early, closer to that lap 48 to 50 range, it can probably go up towards, I'd say, around lap 75, or actually a lot closer to lap 80, if you will. And those that pitted later towards lap 55, they can most likely go towards lap 85 or so, but definitely no one can make it past lap 90, and that is definitely going to mean a second green flag pit stop without a doubt.
And of course, you mentioned if a yellow does not break any of the action up, that means these drivers are going to get rather close to the end of this race, having to pit that second time, having to secure that they're going to make it all the way to the end of this race. You watch a nice battle here for P7. That's the 10 of Kyle Benson. Remember, was on the work back from the first two incidents tonight. He's already moved his way back up to the latter half of the top 10. Just made that inside move on the 46 of Charlie Harcum. And Kyle Benson, we talked about him a couple of times, but we really haven't mentioned it in excess. The truck champion last season, of course, before the series switched to ARCA and Art Series cars, he was the most consistent. He was a championship 4 driver in the Cup Series last season. This season, though, in the ARCA cars, hasn't found the shine that we've been accustomed to seeing in the Cup Series and, of course, in the Truck Series last season. Tonight, though, like we mentioned at the top of the show, Francisco, could be the chance for drivers who probably weren't on the right page to turn on it and then lead into the rest of the season with a lot of momentum on site.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a turning point, and all it takes is one race. One good one is definitely going to be enough to really change the perspective of your season, especially if it's a really good result. If you're able to win a race just out of nowhere, boom, you win the race, it changes your entire perspective on how you approach the rest of the season, how you approach each race. And just that change in approach, that a change in perspective, all of that is enough to change how you finish or how you run in those races in of itself. And maybe that provides with some better natural running position that could open up possibilities for more race wins. And that's why it's very important that if you're able to get a win, that you use that momentum that you carry from that win on over to the next couple of races. Right now, though, Joe Sanchez has been chipping away at your race leader, but he might get caught from behind by Austin Reedy before he gets the chance to go for the lead. Austin Reedy, in the last 5 or so laps, has cut in 3 seconds on your top 2, and that is with those 5 to 8 lap better tires underneath his race car. So we'll have to see just what the actual gain is here, as he's now behind AJ Green. This is going to be the pass for third once he's able to get by him, and you can already see that this is going to be the position for the 11 car with those better tires. He is going to dive to the inside the 48, putting up a bit of a challenge, but you see right here on corner exit, this is going to be P3 for Austin Reedy as he's able to get clear of AJ Green, who slides up the track. And now we'll see just how long it takes before Austin Reedy catches up to your top 2. Joe Sanchez now just about half a second behind your leader, but he's probably not going to get a chance to lead a lap before the 11 catches up to him.
You saw the 11 of Reedy, and last time by, Reedy set a faster lap than everybody in the top 4. The only other driver to get close was the 5th place car, Michael Woolley, but he is a total of 6 seconds behind the current race leader. So everyone is starting to accordion up just a little bit as Brandon T. Banks works with lap traffic. That's Michael Newball on the 56, unlapping himself on the racing surface. The 88 of Banks is going to start to be caught by the 55, but then comes the 11, possibly comes the 48, maybe comes the 69 if it gets to that point. Coming to 30 laps to go, but most certainly it's going to be the top 3 that get the closest between each other. And especially given in lap traffic, which we don't see often as a factor here in Michigan, it's starting to play in the hands of Joe Sanchez pretty well.
It is playing in the favor of Joe Sanchez, with Banks being the race leader. It is impairment for some of these guys that are losing a lap to the leaders, that they try to stay on the lead lap. We still have a looming threat of yellows with the ARCA series. We know that maybe it can happen, so these guys could definitely battle the leader a lot harder than they will. You see right there, he's going to get held up by Jesse Prees. The 55 is going to get a run. He's going to make a move before they go into turn 1. The 88 is going to go low. The 55 looking to the outside. They'll be side by side for the lead. Austin Reedy about 1 second behind these guys. They're both side by side as they're behind Jesse Prees. What does Prees do? They're going to be right in front of the 2 leaders, but Sanchez with the outside line is going to take the position away from Banks. This was inevitable when he took the tires later on in the run. This was bound to happen, and now the 88 is going to start falling through, and eventually is going to end up in P3 when Austin Reedy catches up here. But traffic, Kenneth, is going to be a big deal, because if the race is proven to have long runs, it depends on your pace. If you're not that much quicker than the lap car is going to race you, because he thinks that maybe he can stay in front of you. But if you have an overtly faster car than a lap car, the lap car is going to try and get out of your way, because he realizes that he's not going to be able to do anything to keep you off.
And especially in this case of Jesse Priest, we saw Michael Newbraw, these guys pitted a lot later than others, and that's why most of them are 1 lap down. So you see them get 1 lap down on the track. They try to get themselves back on the lead lap, which with fresh tires, it's a lot easier to do against the leaders. And then they can hold them up just a little bit or even pull away from the race leader. This time, though, Jesse Priest is going to give away to the 55 of Sanchez and going to put a buffer here as Austin Reedy looks underneath the 88 for P2. So it is ultimately going to be a factor if they stay there. Now, if they start to pull away, it's not going to be too big of an issue. If they start to pass them, not going to be too big of an issue either. But in the case of Priest, in the case of Newbraw, even in the case of the 13 allowance slugger, they're so evened out with these guys or under fresh tires that they can keep themselves in front of these guys with long run pace or even short run pace and still be in front of them, still put them in dirty air, still put them in compromising positions. Even if it's indirectly, it is ultimately affecting the battle for the race lead. And also, you want to mention, Francisco, these guys don't want to go a lap down. That also plays into the role, because if a yellow comes out, they want to be in a place where they can go under pit road circumstances. They can stay on the lead lap. They won't have to worry about potential wave rounds or fighting other drivers for that wave round. And then they can just restack with the field and then maybe hit the reset button, go from there. They don't want to be a lap down in the case of, let's say, Jesse Priest here, where they'll go for a wave round. They'll be at the end of the lead lap. There's going to be a lot of conflicts and conflicting interests with that as well. So it gets very tough as, I guess casually, the 11 of Austin Reedy almost hits the outside wall.
You know, something actually that we never covered under the green flag pit stops, I don't believe we saw it at the time. If you notice, in the top 5, no more is Craig Longslugger. He is just outside from being lapped. He hit the wall trying to come into pit road, as that's actually him coming into pit road right now. He got into the wall, that inside wall there, after losing the back end, was able to keep it straight, but not being able to stay in control of his race car resulted in him speeding on pit road, having to hold for about 20 seconds, and that put him on the tail end of the lead lap, and now he's coming back down pit road. I believe this is a scheduled stop, Kenneth, because we are 10 laps from those that pitted on the latter side of the run from being able to stretch it as far as they can on fuel. So before you know it here, Kenneth, we're going to see a second round of green flag pit stops. You know that 13 pitted early.
We know that drivers are definitely going to go for one more stop before this is all over, but you see the battle right now. Maintain for first. There goes Austin Reedy, clear to the inside in 3 and 4. Austin Reedy, give your new race leader spot to him. So he gets by the 55 of Sanchez. Brandon Banks holds strong in 3rd. But it's Reedy there with the long run pace with 25 laps left to go here for Michigan. And a pit stop looming from the horizon. It's going to be interesting to see how drivers play this, because obviously in the first one, you're looking to make it for another stop. You're planning that second stop as a 75 hits pit road this time. But there could be different calls here, not consistent with what we saw with the first stop. Drivers may pit earlier, drivers may pit later, just depending on what they want to do position-wise for the end of the race, how they want to be, and where they want to end up. As you see, the 75 shot is stalled just a little bit. He's going to be okay. Now it's going to be on for the rest of the field to go down pit road. Speaking of which, Joe Sanchez is already on it.
I think one of the crucial things we should point out, Kenneth, is that under the last green flag pit stops, your race leader actually overshot his stall and lost a good bit of time having to back up. If he can avoid doing that this run, he could get back to the lead with this same strategy a lot quicker than it took him this run. It took him almost the whole fuel run to get back to the lead. If he avoids that incident, which maybe cost him 2 or 3 seconds, that's probably 10 laps of having to chase down the leader that he saves as Lance Hill pulls into the pit road, but he's in the wall, completely overshot his stall, has to back up immensely, losing a ton of time in doing so. And actually Reedy with a major mistake.
Reedy got loose at the entrance. There goes AJ Green to fight for him. It's not often you see side-by-side battling for pit stops. So you see the 48, he's going to get to his pit stall first. Reedy's going to have to get there a little bit later in his stall. But the 11 with a potential crucial mistake down pit road. Hopefully he doesn't overshoot the pit stall. He's going to be able to keep it straight, get the jacks up to 48. On the other hand, it's going to overshoot by just a margin. And we'll try and see exactly what happened with the 11. Similar almost to what we saw Francisco with Benjamin White slowing down, getting to the transition, and the car just loses control.
Same thing, but much later under the braking, definitely. And the back end just comes around, and luckily for him, no damage to the front end, and he was able to have the car pointed right back in the proper direction. That's the least amount of time he could have lost in that incident. So no real damage to the front end, as you can see. He's exiting pit road, but he definitely lost a lot of time. I believe he is behind the likes of AJ Green as well. So this is probably a chance at the race win if this run stays green over for the likes of Austin Reedy. We'll have to see just how this works out for some of the rest of these guys. You see Michael Woolley now leading the race by 14 seconds over Curtis Kelly. He has yet to come down pit road. This is really working out in his favor, but we'll have to see just how much longer does he stay out and if he's able to put that tire advantage into good use, because he was about 5 seconds behind Joe Sanchez when the pit stop started, and Joe Sanchez made his pit stop about 3 laps ago, so that gap is starting to extend. So can Michael Woolley run him down?
It's going to be a matter of how things switch over, because obviously there's still drivers left to pit. Talk about drivers like Michael Newbraw. He's still on his stint, so he is yet to pit and take for service. Same deal with Woolley, Kelly, and for now, going to be CJ Munier as well, sitting into the top 3. So by the time this should shift around, it should give Joe Sanchez the lead. It'll give Brandon T. Banks second. It'll give Jacob Denson a total of third. He pitted 4 laps ago. And then it's AJ Green, the next driver who has already pitted, and then comes the 11 of Austin Reedy. We're discounting Michael Newbraw in this case because he's going to come down pit road at some point in this event before this is all over. So it is going to be an uphill climb for Reedy, and that is going to make things smoother on the end of Joe Sanchez, because if everybody comes to pit, everybody starts to cycle around, he's able to take the race lead and net P1, and he's got a good distance to himself and really anybody else apart from Brandon T. Banks. He can hold strong, he can maintain his composure, and he could be well on his way to a second race win this season.
And it comes down to the pit entry for Michael Woolley, and how early does he come down pit road. This last time by 2 seconds faster Joe Sanchez on those newer tires. It takes about 36 to 40 seconds to complete a pit stop here, and that would put him around 10 seconds behind the leader. So he wants to come down pit road, because you're not going to make up those 10 seconds in 19 or so laps, assuming he pits this lap. In the remaining laps of this race, that's just too much of a gap in too little time. You don't have enough advantage of the tires to make that gap up. So Michael Woolley putting himself in a hole right now.
And Michael Woolley just trying to extend it as far as he can. There's third place driver CJ Munier. He's going to overshoot it just a bit, but he is going to make his final stop of the night with just under 20 laps to go. He's going to be the first out of the top 3 to hit for service. It's probably going to be Curtis Kelly next on the board along with the 69, but Woolley has not made any efforts or signals to go down pit road. Curtis Kelly, on the other hand, I feel like he's been debating it, and right now he's going to go to the apron. So indeed, Kelly is going to be the second to last driver to head down pit road. Kelly with a later call here. They're just hoping it could work out, but with the distance that Joe Sanchez continues to chip in on everybody else, it is going to get tighter. I think fortunately for Woolley here, Francisco, he's got some distance. You see Joe Sanchez, he's about a half a track away from Woolley. So if Woolley can get a good pit stop here, be rather quick, then it could still be in the advantage of the 69. It's just all dependent on when he pits and how long will it take for Joe Sanchez to try and cut as much as he can.
I think he's beyond that point, Kenneth. He's lost too much time staying out on these older tires, and there's not enough laps to make that gap up. Right now, the gap for last time that they crossed the line, right now, I think it's about 26 seconds. That's almost half a pit stop time. If he pits right now, Michael Woolley does, he'll be well over 10 seconds behind the leader, probably closer to about 12 seconds. He's not going to be able to make that gap up in the closing laps of this race. It would take about a second each lap to really make up that time. That's going to be awfully close, but not on the side you want to be. It's definitely on the tougher side than the realistic side. I think he might be a couple of laps short of catching up to your leader. You just don't want to put it all on that one go at the final lap or so, and you don't know if you're going to make a mistake or not. So you have to execute this right. You see 25 seconds, the gap between the top two, as Michael Woolley stays out yet again. So maybe hoping for a caution, maybe hoping to do some sort of pit strategy with 2 tires, but even 2 tires at this point with the gap he has to Sanchez, he's probably going to put him behind him just about a second or so, and he's going to have extremely worn left sides if he even does that, but I don't see him doing that. At this racetrack, you have to take forward.
Well, if Michael Woolley is not going to be a factor into this race win, this driver will. The 88 of Brandon T. Banks, he just passed Joe Sanchez for net P1 on the racetrack. You were watching it on your screen, made the inside move, was able to clear the 55. There goes lap car Eric Schaefer to kind of split the difference. But the 88 of Brandon T. Banks takes the net race lead away, barring any position issues with Michael Woolley, who still needs to come down pit road with about 15 laps left. But it should be in Brandon T. Banks' hands if he can pull away and use the fresh tire power to his advantage. So for right now, Banks in control, just waiting on Woolley to make that pit stop.
And that pit stop from Woolley's going to come in the next handful of laps, Kenneth, because he is starting to run very low on that fuel, and we haven't seen anyone really go close to 35 or so laps on the fuel today. Not impossible, but not exactly achievable without some form of saving. Not saving to the end of the race. He can, without a doubt, not make it to the end of the race. 15 laps to go, pitted, I believe, about 25 laps previously from this point in the race at the very least. So he cannot make it to the end of the race on fuel. He's just trying something. But at this point, Kenneth, with a pit stop being made by this 69, if it's 2 tires, 4 tires, doesn't matter what he does, he is going to come out significantly behind those in the top 2.
Well, we'll see if Woolley tries to flinch, and again, he's going to stay out. So Woolley is continuing to be committed to this long run, and I don't see any form of saving out of the 69 either. So it's not like we're seeing any clutch and coached efforts. It's not like we're seeing Woolley try to play this long game on purpose here via saving and hoping he can get to the checkered flag. It's just about, I guess, hoping he can stay out for as long as he can and maybe not lose as much ground. But like you said, Francisco, it probably is too late to the margin that he's going to lose a lot if he comes down pit road, because then goes Brandon Banks, of course, for the lead. Then goes Joe Sanchez. You're going to see AJ Green, Reedy, Denson go by. All these drivers are going to start to find their way through. And then Woolley is just going to have to either succumb for top 10, maybe fall further out of the top 10, just depending on the position of every other driver and how much he can gain in the span of fresh tires. As again, he's not going to flinch down pit road. But we're seeming to watch right here with 13 laps to go. Who's going to be a race leader when Woolley finally hits the bin?
Yeah, but Woolley at this point, if he does come down pit road this time by, that should put him just outside the top 10, at least immediately. Might be able to gain some spots, but top 5 is best case scenario looking for him. But he's even going to have to make up a lot of time in 10 laps to even try to achieve that. So he's definitely dug himself into a hole on this one in this strategy, but he did try something different. Can't really blame him on that. But on the other hand of it, we do have a battle for the win. It's actually a lap car up ahead. Lance Hill gets into the wall right in front of the 88. As you see right there, those top 2 are together on the racetrack, or those in the net top 2 positions are closely knit together. You have to look another 2 seconds behind them to find 3rd place AJ Green and Austin Reedy. Albeit, Kenneth, with that mistake he made on pit road, when this all cycles out, he'll be in the 4th position.
Also, you won't lose too much, but I think arguably if we don't get a yellow from here on out, it won't be a race win unless something happens near the front of the field that could catastrophically change the effects of this race. You continue to watch Michael Woolley stay out. It's 35 laps, and now finally, after those 35 laps, he's going to hit pit road. We'll see how much he loses in time. There goes Brandon T. Banks. There's Joe Sanchez. They're going to enter turn 3. Probably not going to be the quickest stop ever by the 69 of Michael Woolley, but it's all about how he can play his cards, as we may have a fantastic battle for the win on our hands coming to the final 11 laps in this race from Michigan International Speedway. Sanchez and Banks, your top 2. Woolley going to fall back to 3rd.
Woolley taking 2 tires.
Woolley's going to take 2 tires on the stop, so we'll see how he comes out. There he already is. He's fallen back to 6. So we'll monitor that, but right now, here comes the 55. Sanchez got a good run off turn 2. He's not going to be able to poke his nose underneath the 88 just yet, but Joe Sanchez, who was good all race long, finally pushing out the big ones, finally waiting for the moment, and to the inside he'll go to the Geico machine.
Side by side in turn 4, this is the battle for the win as they're about to reach 10 laps to go. They're back in the proper lead of this race. Joe Sanchez was being patient on that run. He allowed Brandon T. Banks to use a little bit of his stuff, and now, when it matters most, Kenneth, he is the faster car.
Sanchez to the inside. He's going to be able to clear Banks for a moment. Will Banks try the crossover? He's going to try and look for the space. Is he going to get to the inside? The answer seems to be no. Sanchez going to block.
Yes,
Banks back to the inside again.
Banks was very high into turn 1, but he is able to make it work as they go into 3. It looks like he's going to force his way past the 55, slides up the track a little bit. Joe will get back to the outside of Brandon T. Banks, and this battle will continue.
It is about 9 laps left to go here from the Irish Hills. When we cross the start-finish line, it is about dead even between your top 2 leaders. That time, Banks was the leader. Actually, Sanchez is going to take over the lead this time by. He's going to clear the 88 back to turn 1, but it's all about what Banks can do out of turn 2, but he's not going to have enough firepower.
Yeah, he entered lower there. I'm not sure what happened there off before, but he lost a good bit of momentum, and now he's going to lose some more ground to your leader. So you have to wonder if that's it. If that's all Brandon T. Banks had to try and go for this win. We saw the 55 catch him, so he probably has a little bit better tires. So that's probably Banks' chances as long as this race does stay green at this shot for the win. Unless the 55, of course, makes a mistake. But we know Joe Sanchez at the end of these races does not do too many mistakes. So that would be hopeful wishing out of the driver in that 88. And AJ Green 2 seconds back, still unable to really make any inroads on this battle. Austin Reed hanging tough in that 4th position, and right now in 5th is Jacob Denson. And how about Ryan Steenbacher's, Kenneth? He's up to 6th. We started restart in the back, I believe the last time we had a caution, and now he is in the 6th position. So a great drive through the field in this last run of the race.
Yeah, great drive for a lot of these guys, including Jacob Denson in the 45. We haven't mentioned him all night long either, so for the driver of this Miller High Life machine, he's been rather consistent. We just haven't noted it much of this race, but we continue to watch the battle between the top 2. And you got to think now, because you look at the telemetry, these guys pitted at the same lap. So they're on even tires. If it comes down to how much they save between each of them, so you got to think that Sanchez probably waited, let Brandon T. Banks by, said, hey, you can push it as much as you want. I'm going to save it for this moment in the race at this exact time in the winning laps of this long run. I'm going to have the advantage. I'm going to have the fresher rubber. And at that point, I can blow past you for the race lead and take this one away from you in a moment's notice. I feel like that's exactly what he did in the 55, because these guys pitted the same lap, same time, no big difference. Although Brandon T. Banks is able to hold in, give him credit.
He's holding in, and a large part due to it is the draft. He's trying to keep up with the draft. Maybe doing what Joe Sanchez did. Maybe he is saving tires behind this 55, trying to see if he can put on one last push, because he's not exactly going away, and he's starting to get a run off turn 2.
He's going to get the run off turn 2. Will he be able to build up enough a run to go to the inside? Sanchez already down the move to block. Banks not going to pull the trigger. He's going to almost hit the back bumper as they come back to turn 3. And as they come for the tri-oval, it will be 5 laps to go from virtual Brooklyn, Michigan, the Michigan International Speedway. Banks trying to look underneath that at turn 4, but it's Sanchez in control with 5 left.
We haven't seen the last of Brandon T. Banks, and they're also pulling away from AJ Green. AJ Green stuck behind a lapper back there. That's going to put him susceptible to Austin Reedy before the end of the race, but the battle is for the win. Joe Sanchez trying to see if he can get another win on the season, and Brandon T. Banks trying to get his first one of the season.
Remember, Sanchez was the winner at the short track at Iowa earlier in this campaign. Banks yet to win. He was a winner at this track in the Cup Series last season in the Dash for Cash. Made one of his first starts in this series and was able to walk away with a checkered flag. So if anyone knows how to get a win here in Michigan, it's going to be this driver right here in the 88. They'll come for 4 laps to go. Bit of a run out of Banks this time by. He's not going to have it yet. You might think he's unleashing it to the final 2 laps, but Francisco, he's not going to have enough time to make a move if he does it too late. So how does he structure this?
I think he's still trying to save a little bit. You see way up the track, trying to see if he can arc it down to get that run down the back straightaway. It's not to set him up in turn 3, it's to set him up for turn 1. And you see lap traffic up ahead. You have to think that maybe he's trying to use one of them as a pick if he has to. Maybe trying to hold back a little bit right now, realizing the bigger picture is the final lap, not 3 laps to go, which is what they'll be taking when they come across the line. So still not hearing the end of the 88, but you see Joe Sanchez pulled out a little bit there, but buys himself some time, puts about 2 or 3 tenths between himself and the second place driver with 3 laps left. You have to feel good if you're the 55.
And that last time by, Sanchez was a rather 2 seconds quicker than Brandon Banks, so Banks may be falling off at this stage of the race with 3 laps to go, and that could clear the way exactly for Sanchez to walk away with the second race win. Remember though, this race isn't over yet. There's still people left. You see AJ Green in the background. He's also trying to gain ground within the top 2. There's a lap traffic car of Craig Lownslager in front of them, so he could also change the complexion of the race if need be. But coming across turn 4 to the tri-oval, Joe Sanchez will take 2 laps to go from Michigan.
2 laps left in this one, Kenneth, and it's going to be a really exciting battle. Can the 88 of Brandon T. Banks do something? He's not up and close to the back bumper of the 55, so you have to wonder if there's anything he has left to use it, because now's the time.
Now's going to be the time to pull the trigger, but Banks continues to run just a little bit slower. That last time by actually set even, so it may have been just a bad lap here for Banks, although you can't really have a bad lap when it comes to the final wraps around this Michigan International Speedway. Sanchez will come across turn 4. This will get the white flag, so Barney the Flagman will have it displayed. Sanchez looking for a second race win, and he's about 1 full lap away from it. White flag from Michigan.
1 lap to go for the driver of the 55, Kenneth, and it's been a stout drive from Joe Sanchez. We saw him perform all day long. He was being patient. He was running inside the top 5. Let the others make the mistakes and not him. As we see a car up into the wall just in front of these guys, it was Ken MacArthur, but down the back straightaway, Brandon T. Banks trying to make a gap close, but it's not going to be enough. He's going to run out of time as they work their way through 3 and 4. We see a dive bomb there by the 88, but it's not going to be enough. He's going to lose that momentum. And Joe Sanchez, Kenneth, he won at Iowa. He's won at Darlington. 2 different types of tracks. Make it a 3rd different type. Joe Sanchez is going to win in the Irish Hills of Michigan.
Joe Sanchez, your winner for the 2nd time in the 4-Wide Racing ARCA Series season. After 1 at Iowa in the cornfields, he gets it in Brooklyn. Brandon Banks able to hold on for a second. Solid drive out of the 88 machine. Just not enough time to catch up to your leader, AJ Green. What a job it was for him after leading a good portion of the early mark of this race. He ends up 3rd. Austin Reedy, crash race car now, but it's 4th place at the start-finish line. Jacob Denson to your top 5 here tonight. What a race it was. We had long green flag runs, had a flurry of quick cautions, but after it all, tire saving works for Joe Sanchez. And he'll come out of the final quarter. You see Jesse Prees giving some congratulations. AJ Green having a little bit of fun near the end. But the focus all lies on the driver of the 55. He wins tonight from Michigan. 2nd race win of this campaign. And he does it in style. And he'll burn it down in front of the virtual fans here from the Irish Hills. Sanchez, 2 times a winner.
A fantastic job by him once again. Just was very patient all day. We never really saw him up in the front until that green flag run came into play. And we've seen him before when these green flag runs show up that he tends to do good. And today was no exception. Let everybody do the battling, everybody do the mistakes. And when it came down to it, he decided that it was time to go. And it was his 3rd win of the season already. 2nd in the last 4.
Sanchez has really put it on here in the last couple of races. And it seemed as though the abrasive tracks is where he finds his name, where he's able to shine the most. And how about that? Step into victory lane here, right in front of the inside pit wall. And is able to burn it down the same way. Best part about Michigan is the victory lane right there. We saw it with Myrtle Beach. We see it somewhat with Auto Club Speedway, but with Michigan right there with the grass and those little bushes there right in front of the pit wall. And Sanchez will park it where he belongs in victory lane for the 3rd time this season. And he'll be able to celebrate as he'll get a nice surge in the point standings along with that as well. We'll take a look at your full field results, see exactly where every driver finished tonight. Joe Sanchez, of course, your winner here for Michigan after a last segment duel with the 88 of Brandon T. Banks, who comes home in 2nd. AJ Green able to file in the 3rd place spot. Austin Reedy with a semi-decent strategy and a mistake coming into pit road ends up in P4. Jacob Denson will file out your top 5, then followed by Ryan Steenbachers, who's able to capture 6. Michael Woolley with a late run. He's still able to manage top 10 in P7. It's Charlie Harcum in 8th, Tony Kivitt to 9th, Kevin D'Elia in his first ever race in the ARCA series. He ends up in a nice spot, P10.
And as we look down the rest of the field here, Kenneth, we see in the 11th position Cody Kinsey, just outside the top 10, but a solid run for him. Nicholas Zuzzi, Tyler Murray finishing on the lead lap. We also have Curtis Kelly, the winner from Myrtle Beach, coming back with a 14th place finish. CJ Munier in 15th, Ken MacArthur in the 16th position. Craig Lonslonger, after that mistake coming into pit road, able to salvage a lead lap finish, the last car on the lead lap, albeit in the 17th position. Jesse Prees finishing 18th, Lance Hill in 19th, and Kyle Benson in the 20th position.
At the 21st, you'll find the 56 of Michael Newbroad. Douglas Carlson will end his race in the 86 and P22. It'll be the 23rd for Ricky Rosen in the 43. Christopher Bishop will end up the final driver 1 lap down in 24th before you end up with pole sitter Eric Schaefer. Not the night he wanted after capturing the fastest lap in qualifying. Colin Forster, a rough ending to this race, 10 laps down in P26. Benjamin A. White started off strong. Got 2 end-of-line penalties for incident, then had a crash coming into pit road on the first round of green flag stops. He ends up 50 laps down in P27. It's 28th for Brandon Gillis, 29th for Pete Bruni. Tristan Bailey, one of the final drivers in P30. Chuck Munier will be the final driver in this entire field, 31st, 101 laps down. Well, it'll be our time to take a moment to speak with the driver who takes the win out of everybody here tonight, and it'll be the driver of that 55, Joe Sanchez, your winner here from the virtual Michigan International Speedway. We'll talk to the driver of the 55 from Victory Lane and still parked there in his Housingfeld machine. Joe, your 3rd win of the season comes here at Michigan, and it ends up in a scenario that not many people in the ARCA series are probably looking after the past couple of races. Green flag strategy, green flag runs. For you, it was a crucial pass on Brandon T. Banks in that final segment. Walk us through the strategy, and was it by design?
Yeah, I knew Reedy was coming with fresher tires on that second to last run, and as soon as he was able to get by me, I knew I was going to have to pit before him to make a run at the finish. I was planning on pitting with 25 to go regardless, but it worked out perfect. He got by me right at 25 to go. And then I knew having a good battle there with Brandon towards the end, we were having a lot of fun. We were actually in the same Discord channel together, just kind of shit talking each other. But we had a lot of fun there at the end. Glad we were able to battle it pretty much till 1 or 2 to go. But a lot of fun there. The Legacy Michigan's is one of my favorite tracks just because of the bumper. Or the bumps in the road, as well as the really high tire wear. So I really like this track, and I feel it plays really well with these ARCA cars.
And I think it's a sort of a characteristic with you in this series. You take wins at 3 very abrasive tracks. You won at Iowa for your first win this season. You won at Darlington a couple of weeks back in a wild battle with Craig Lonslarger, and this time you have another duel with Brandon Banks, and you're able to win tonight from Michigan. What's it about sort of these really abrasive tracks, whether it's a short track, whether it's a sort of intermediate, or whether it's a large super speedway like this? How does this play into your favor with this car and these combos?
Just be really easy on the throttle. Back up your corners so you can get a really good drive off is really what I focus on. But being able to be easy getting back to the throttle so you don't destroy your right rear. Though I think a little bit more would have helped a little bit turning if I could have worn the right rear a little bit more. But, I really like an abrasive track. I love Homestead. I wish last week we could have gotten some, longer green flag runs to kind of play into that. And me not getting track position really just killed me there. But I really like these abrasive and high wear tracks. They're a lot of fun.
Well, you've had a lot of fun, and you're able to celebrate 3 race wins in this ARCA season. So now we move forward to a rather crucial segment of this season. It's going to be the second half. After tonight, we're already at the halfway mark of this season. You're going to get closer and closer to the playoffs. So as a driver trying to compete for the championship here, what's going to be the strategy moving forward as we move to Talladega next week, and there's a lot of great tracks on the par for us as well?
Basically, just keep trying to chip away. I missed a few weeks, so trying to chip away at the points. I saw Craig kind of had a bad night tonight. I think he might have sped on pit road and kind of lost a lot of ground. Him and Tony, I know, are battling for the points lead there, so just kind of chipping away a little by little. Race wins obviously help a lot with that, but just being consistent, being in the top 5 every week is going to really, bring that point gap in, and towards the end of the season, maybe being a little more cautious and not making an aggressive move is going to help. So just being patient and try not to try to lead at the first part of the race, but kind of come towards the end and be there.
Well, if the momentum swing is going to continue, then why not with a good win here from the Michigan International Speedway. Joe, before we let you go here on this win tonight, is there anybody you'd just like to give a shout out to? Any teams, sponsors, or just anybody else you'd just like to give the love to for tonight's victory?
Shout out to Brandon there. Like I said, we were both in the same Discord chat, having a lot of fun battling there at the end, and so he's a very clean racer. We really respect each other. We've been racing in a bunch of leagues together, so to battle him for the win was a lot of fun. But to shout out to the rest of the Drinkin' Bros Racing. We got Tony, Schaefer, Newbraw, Jesse Priest, Cody Kinsey. We got a lot of people in here, that love to race all together. And to shout out to you guys and the 4 Wide Racing League for putting on a great show every week. We had a big field today, and it was a lot of fun with this many cars.
Well, we certainly appreciate the support, Joe, and of course, I think we can thank you for putting on a great battle here in Michigan near the end. That was a lot of fun to watch. So congratulations on the win tonight for Michigan. We wish you the best of luck at what'll be a chaotic Talladega race next Tuesday night, but we'll let you celebrate here in this race.
Thank you, guys.
As Joe Sanchez taking away his 3rd checkered flag here in the 4 Wide Racing ARCA Series season, and it comes here from Michigan. We'll talk to the driver who comes home in P2 at the end of tonight's affair. It will be the 88 of Brandon T. Banks, able to come in 3rd, just behind your race leader, and he's currently caught up with our very own Francisco Bacallao.
Well, Brandon, we saw it was a fantastic battle for the win there between yourself and Joe Sanchez. Unfortunately, you came up 2nd in that one. Can you talk us through that battle?
Yeah, I think I had about a lap better tires than he did, and it took me a minute to get around him. I was in voice chat with him, so I was trying to be real easy getting around him, trying not to get into him. And then we got up on this lap traffic, and I think I just ran the tires off of a little bit. I was really good after about 20 to 25 laps, and I think if the run would have went a little bit longer, I could have got back to him, but he was good there right in the middle of the run, and that's when he kind of got back around me, and I didn't really have much for him. Yeah, he ran a good race.
Yeah, we saw that there was a lot of drivers that were coming and going. Most of the contenders from the first part of the race kind of fell off towards the latter portion, but we saw the likes of drivers like yourself. We saw Joe Sanchez come up through the field. We also saw AJ Green was consistently at the front. Austin Reedy made a major mistake on the 2nd round of pit stops that took him out of contention for the win. Were you expecting to battle some of those guys that maybe fell off?
Yeah, I really thought Kyle and them were going to be a little bit better. I thought Tyler might be a little better here too. I don't know if they just kind of got back in traffic, and it was tough. You had to get through traffic real good without using up your stuff. I did start at the back, but that very first run, I was just taking my time and got through there. But I'm normally pretty good at Michigan. I think when we came here in the Cup cars last year, I won by a pretty big margin. So I normally run good here, but yeah, I mean, Reedy had a good shot there. We both came in there at the same time, and he spun around right in front of me, and I thought he was going to take us both out, but it's a bad luck for him. He had a really good car. It would have been really close between me, him, and Joe, and but bad luck for him, but I'll take it 2nd place.
Yeah, a strong run for yourself, Brandon. Could definitely use this momentum carrying into another Super Speedway S track at Talladega next week. What are your thoughts going into the chaotic Talladega nature?
I hate Talladega. I tell you, I Super Speedway racing, I just don't like it. I'm just not big into it. I'm just gonna try to just be smart. Maybe just ride somewhere around the back. I mean, if I get the opportunity to go up front, I might go up there for a little bit, but just try to make it and get there to the end and get through that race. It's always kind of a crapshoot there, and just try to come away with something maybe in the top 10 if possible, and move on. What do we got? I think maybe Texas or something like that after that. So I think we're a little better there. So.
Yeah, the good thing is that you have all week if you want to run some official races to at least get the drafting part and the situational awareness up there and get that in tone for next Tuesday night. And before we let you go here, Brandon, a solid run takes a lot of people to make this happen. I'll give you the floor to give the shout outs to those people that helped make this happen.
Yeah, thanks to my team, Rowdy Motorsports, Drinking Bros Racing. We work with them. Tyler and Austin, all of them for putting this on every week. It's a great league. I appreciate you guys for what you do, and always have a good time here. Appreciate it.
Once again, congratulations on P2, Brandon. We hope to see you out there tomorrow night at the current Michigan layout and try to see if you can finish one spot higher, but also can't wait to see you next week at the Talladega Superspeedway.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
It's Brendan Banks who comes home in the Geico machine in P2. Made a nice journey up to the field, plus 23 since the drop of the green flag. Went from 25th to start and ends up in P2. We'll talk to the driver who did not make any spots, did not lose any spots from the drop of the green flag to tonight. It's a solid podium run for the 48 of AJ Green. We'll bring him in to the broadcast booth from pit road. AJ, this race lends itself a lot of green flag strategies, a lot of pushes to the end about tire wear and all that here in Michigan. But I want to talk through the first segment of the race because it was rather well for you. Schaefer and Benjamin White kind of get into it a little bit. You're able to walk through. You're able to lead some laps. Walk us through how it was like at the front of the field versus how it was over those long runs with pit stops and the factors as well.
When I got past Schaefer, when he got loose, it felt much better with the clean air. I didn't have to worry about so much of washing up the track as I did behind a car. But the long run speed, I kind of wore the tires down a bit too much in that long run. And once I got behind a car on old tires, it was just so much worse. And I don't like it, but I just can't save tires as well as some people. I need to work on it. But it was just a fun race though.
With saving tires, dirty air, I think that's going to be some factors that'll go into tomorrow night's race. I know you're a part of the Cup Series field as well. So after tonight's finish, a good run on strategy, a good run to P3 at the end of it all. Are there any takeaways you can gather from this kind of scenario, this kind of race versus what'll be probably another wild one, another great one tomorrow in the Cup Series from the very same track?
Clean air is a must. Even if you're in third or fourth, if you can find a clean lane, you want to run it. You can actually run the top side in the Cup cars, which is nice, and sometimes it's even faster on old tires. So mainly clean air and trying to draft off others on the straights.
Well, we'll go for a super speedway race, sort of, 2-mile track here at Michigan. Know that you've got the experience here, and you're probably looking more forward to the Cup race tomorrow night. But next week, ARCA cars go to another super speedway, but at Big Bad Talladega. Any expectations for that, or you're still waiting for it to kind of settle in to get yourself ready?
I'm ready for it. I've done a couple races in the past there, and it's gonna be a lot of throttle input because can't really bump draft in the ARCA car, so it's gonna be very fun.
Well, we hope for a lot of fun at Talladega next week, of course. Hope for a lot of fun after tonight from tomorrow's race from the Cup Series, and of course a lot of fun to recap off of tonight from Michigan. So we congratulate you, AJ, on this finish. But before we let you go, is there anybody you just want to thank, any team sponsors or just anybody else that makes it happen for you with the team?
Shout out to Stonk Motorsports. It was pretty fun racing with them at the end there and throughout the race. Shout out to my mom, she's watching. Shout out to you guys for broadcasting, and shout out to the whole league for putting on a good show.
Well, AJ, we certainly appreciate the time that you took to talk with us. And, of course, a big congratulations again on the third-place finish here tonight from Michigan. Wishing you the best of luck tonight or tomorrow from the same track, and then Talladega next week. That's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm going to need a lot of it.
AJ Green, the third-place finisher here tonight from the Michigan International Speedway. Well, we'll kick things up back to the broadcast booth where alongside Francisco Bacchial, and this one was a different one, I'd say, from the past two races. We had Caution Fest at Myrtle Beach. We had lots of cautions at Homestead, Miami. But we kind of opened things up a little bit. Lots of green flag strategy, lots of interesting points of conversation throughout the racing action. And to see Joe Sanchez get it done for the 3rd time this season, surely a statement to how he's going to try and work for the championship in the second half of this regular season as well.
Yeah, Joe Sanchez already with number 3 on the season. You have to think that that's definitely going to be something that can continue with the coming races as this season continues to move on. Joe has done a phenomenal job in the first portion of the season, and we'll see how he can carry on. Talladega being next week, anybody can win that one, Kenneth. You know how much of a wild card that could be. But I think one of the most interesting things that I'll be looking forward to is after Talladega, the series will be going to Five Flags. That is a track that I've not covered a race in before. I'm not sure if you've covered a race from that before, but going from such a big track at Talladega to the short track that normally hosts a snowball derby at Five Flags is going to be very interesting to see if we can keep up some momentum. If anybody that is good at short tracks can prevail at a track that they probably have limited to no experience on. I believe some people are probably going to be buying that track just the weekend before, just because it's not a track that is normally run on official races anyway. So I'm looking forward to next week at Talladega for sure. I'm looking forward to next week or the week after at Five Flags. Just hoping that we can continue having some good racing like we had here tonight, and definitely looking forward to tomorrow's Cup action.
And to say the least, there's going to be a uniqueness in this schedule when it comes to the next couple of weeks. You mentioned Talladega next week. That's going to be the full-fledged super speedway. We already know what to kind of expect from that track, considering pretty much all the races that we've seen on sim and in real life from Talladega. But then you mentioned there are Five Flags. Just because we raced at Myrtle Beach doesn't mean the short track action ends, because we're going to have more after that as well. The Five Flags short track, we're going to open things up the 1.5 miler. We're going to go to Charlotte and that oval. Then we're going to go to another short track, a staple in iRacing Rookie Series, the USA International Speedway. Then we'll go to another short track, a larger one at Richmond. And then we go to Rockingham. That's also going to be a lot of fun. First time we see that on the 4-wide schedule for either the ARCA Series or the Cup Series, respectively. So it's going to be interesting to see how those drivers manage that challenge. And, of course, we go back over to the Daytona Oval before we halt things for 1 week and then go straight for the 4-wide ARCA Series playoffs. And by that time, we'll most likely be already in the Cup Series playoffs as well. But it was a fantastic one for Michigan. So much to look forward to, and that will begin tomorrow night. The Cup Series takes way to the Irish Hills as well and kicks it off in the Michigan International Speedway. The coverage will begin at 9:10 p.m. Eastern, but it'll be over on the Max Speed TV YouTube channel. So go on to Max Speed TV and their YouTube page. You'll find us there tomorrow night before we return here on the KBueno Racing Network for coverage of the 4-wide racing ARCA Series when we kick things off from Big Bad Talladega. It'll start at 9:10 p.m. Eastern. We'll bring it all start to finish from one of the world's craziest racetracks, and the craziest racetrack, arguably, in all of stock car racing. So much to look forward to. We hope you're there to join with us both on the KBueno Racing Network YouTube channel and the Max Speed YouTube channels as well. Well, that'll conclude our coverage for the 4-wide racing ARCA Series in the 10th round from virtual Michigan International Speedway. I want to thank Tyler Murray, league owner, and the entirety of the race council for putting these races on each and every week. For Joe Sanchez, 3rd race win here tonight from Michigan. Going to be able to celebrate here as the second half of the season kicks off. And for all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, for Charlie Byer and my commentator alongside in the booth, Francisco Bacallao, my name is Kenneth Bueno. Saying so long, good night from virtual Brooklyn. We'll head to Talladega next week, give you some more super speedway action.